Hey, Monique.
Hi.
How are you doing today?
I'm so good.
I'm so happy to hear that.
I know, right?
You are glowing. You look absolutely vibrant.
Thank you.
I think this topic today that we're going to cover is going to be so fun, so interesting.
Yes.
And I'm excited for you to share with us about dating in your 50s.
Oh my gosh, I know. It's an adventure. I can't wait to tell you all about it.
Well, tune in here and stick with us because Monique is going to dish all of her tips and tricks and experiences of finding herself, dating, and falling in love and everything that's come along with that in her 50s. Welcome to Heart and Soul, the podcast where we empower and inspire women to lead their best lives, harnessing the power of their hearts and souls. We are Mariah
and Monique,
your hosts and guides on this journey of self-discovery and personal growth.
In each episode, we will dive deep into topics that matter most to you, from self-love and confidence to career development, relationships, and everything in between. We believe that every woman has a unique strength and inner wisdom waiting to be unleashed.
Join us as we cover insightful heart and soul-centered topics and interview incredible women who've overcome challenges, chased their dreams, and found their true purpose. Through all of this, you will discover practical tips, strategies, and real-life stories to help you navigate life's twists and turns.
For whatever season of life you're in, this podcast is your safe space to explore, learn, grow, and possibly even laugh and cry with us. So grab your headphones, maybe your favorite drink, and we'll embark on this transformative journey together.
With heart, I'm Mariah.
And with soul, I'm Monique.
Okay, so Monique.
Yes.
We know this is something that, there's a lot of chatter online about what do you do when you find yourself single later in life?
Yes.
And you are a first-person testimonial on what this has looked like.
Yes.
And I think you've had, from my observation, just a positive experience overall. And I love that, when you hear in a sea of negativity, that you have a story to share that is really positive. So that was one of the main reasons we really wanted to share this on the podcast. So
yes,
tell us your story. We know you've been divorced. You ended up single.
Yes,
but
okay.
Jump in.
Yeah, okay. And it's interesting because when I was reading a little bit about this, because I have my own experience, but I wanted to kind of know a broader scope. Some of the questions were like, why even bother over 50? And I'm like, what? I'm like appalled.
You have half your life to live.
My gosh.
You don't have to do it alone.
And also, I mean, I just like, yeah. So been separated since 2020 and then divorced since 2021. I had a boyfriend that we lived together for a year, a little bit here and there for 4 years. That relationship ended in July, around the same time when I received my breast cancer diagnosis and went through surgery and treatment for breast cancer.
So go back one step, because the first person you dated coming out of your marriage, you met through a friend.
Yes, was actually
it wasn't an online.
No, it was a total accident. It was COVID.
Yeah.
So kind of like dating was kind of like, and it was not even on my radar to date.
No,
I was going through my divorce. And was lonely because it was COVID.
Yeah.
My friends were all on lockdown. I was also just like not working because I was in the process of switching careers. I had so many things going on, and I connected with my friend's friend, and we had a lot of fun together.
Yeah.
For the time we were together, we had a lot of fun, especially in the beginning. And that relationship was good when it was good.
Yep.
And it was kind of like it fell in my lap.
Yeah. And it helped you transition into a mindset of like, there are other people out there.
Yes, because being married for 27 years, I think is what I was married for. And I had been with my ex-husband for 32 years.
Yeah.
Like we were high school sweethearts. I knew no other relationship.
Right. So this was your kind of transition
Yes.
into like, what does it even look like
To be with a different person.
Yeah.
Yes. And I was fortunate that, you know, I needed a commitment because I was just not ready to just like date randoms. And then also the timing with COVID. So that evolved. But then in the end, it wasn't, I think I just realized that was not going to be my forever person.
Yeah.
And I to be completely honest with you, coming out of such a long marriage, I didn't really think I was ever going to find a forever person or that I actually wanted that.
Yeah.
I am a serial monogamer.
Yeah.
I can't kind of help myself. I love people really hard, but I didn't necessarily think marriage was ever going to be back on the table for me. But then this, I kind of got inklings that maybe, you know, relationships are interesting how they work. You're like, we could just have fun, but like things just happen that make it like the relationship needs to progress.
Right.
Or it needs to like kind of break up. It's just kind of the way it is.
The future reveals itself through other avenues.
Yes. And I didn't really think this was going to be my forever relationship, and nor did I know that I actually wanted to be in a forever relationship. But things started happening within me where I was like thinking about like, well, I could get married again. And I was like, whoa, but I don't think this is the right situation for me for that. So those were like opposing thoughts I was holding. And also just, you know, it was just not becoming the right fit between the two of us.
Yep.
So, so that relationship fell apart.
Right.
And that relationship had just kind of landed in my lap.
Right. You hadn't had to go out on the dating market.
So I felt like I just kind of just like fell into another like relationship. So when I came out of that relationship of 4 years, right, post-divorce, and having an idea now, like maybe I am ready to like find a forever person. Like I'm not angry about marriage.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, had processed through all of that.
Yes. I had done a lot of therapy. I'd done a lot of self-coaching. You know, like there's a lot of things that you need to do to make sure that you're not angry and bitter, because you don't want to take that forward. Right.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I'm going to date. I have not dated outside of, you know, like being in dated multiple people, I should say, since I was 16 years old.
Right.
Which is crazy to think about since I'm like today, 52 years old.
Yeah.
That's huge, right? So I was like, I am going to date.
You had such a good attitude about it. Like you took it on as like, I'm excited for this. I'm doing this.
Yes.
I'm not going to just sit home alone. I'm getting out there. I was so proud of you. And I feel like that so many women take the other approach and are just like afraid of it and fear what, you know, who they might meet. And you're like, let's see what happens.
Yeah. So, you know, I'm really lucky. Like I'm outgoing. I'm an extrovert, right? Like you.
And interesting, easy to talk to.
Well, thank you. But I also find people fascinating as well.
Right.
And I think I have such a like broad sense of curiosity. I was like, well, I mean, who doesn't want to meet new people?
Yeah, your curiosity allowed you to look at every one of those dates as just like an opportunity to learn something about someone new. You weren't putting the pressure that it was like, had to be the one.
Right. I also knew myself well enough that my ex-boyfriend and I had a push-pull relationship that if I didn't start dating other people, that I would fall back into maybe being in a relationship with him, which wasn't where I needed to be.
You need to cut that cord by someone new.
Probably sounds awful, but it was my way of processing, right? Like, so I just decided right away that I needed to date, and I was just going to be like a serial dater. I'm like, okay, I've been a serial monogamer for so long, like just in relationships. I'm just going to be really good at dating. And I don't know how to do this, but I know how to talk to people. People seem to find me somewhat interesting. I find them really fascinating and interesting. And, you know, some people were like, well, I mean, where are you going to meet these people? Aren't you worried? And I'm like, coffee shops? The middle of the day?
Yeah.
You know, I set my
Be creative.
I set my parameters up pretty tight right away.
Sure.
So also, some people don't know this about me. I'm very generous, but also I have a cheap side. So it's like, I'm only going on Facebook dating because it's free. I'm not going to buy into any apps or anything. So like whoever's on Facebook dating, that's
which
my
has
pool.
actually been one of the more successful tools that I've seen for people that are older because of how many connections their Facebook group has.
Right.
Like you can see who knows who.
Yes. It's
you
a little
can
comforting.
It's more like in your market.
Yes.
So there's been a ton of success off of Facebook dating.
So interesting.
It's really fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember you were like, yeah, it's right here. It's easy. Look, I can see, you know.
Yes.
It was smart. It was a smart way to go for you.
Well, and also you can set your parameters, you know, and like within this mile radius, they need to live. There's the whole swiping option. You look at their picture, you read their bio, you try to get a sense of who they are as a person. And if, you know, my whole thing, and I told you this when I was going to date, was like, I'm going to find my aligned match. Yeah. I'm going to date for 3 to 6 months.
Yeah.
But my goal is to find an aligned match because I'm ready to be with someone who gets me and I get them. And like, we just really are aligned with each other.
Yes.
But also, I need to date for 3 to 6 months because I've never done this. And I really, really want to, I want to do this. And I was excited to do it.
And how long did you last out there, Monique?
Well,
turns out that aligned match was not far away.
Well, yes. So, I want to just say there's a couple of things when I've told people this story, like kind of like naysayer energy, right? So like, and I'm not saying that people's concerns are not valid.
Sure.
So I set my boundaries right away. I was going to do coffee shops. I was going to do well-lit areas. I wasn't going to go for walks on the beach, blah, blah, you know what I mean? All of this stuff, which I did end up, but anyways.
We'll get to that part later.
Yeah. I set my my dating area initially to where we live and kind of like the surrounding area. Because I knew I didn't want to like have to be like weekend dating, you know?
Yeah.
But then I kind of like went out of that area a little bit when I went to the cities and went on a couple dates with people who I found really fascinating and interesting. And it was like coffee shop dates. So, I mean, like, it's almost like you see someone online and you find some similarities and you're like, hey, let's just meet up and like get to know each other and see if there's a vibe. That was all I was going off of. And, you know, I think that also other things I think that people are worried about is, well, everyone by our age, 50, 60, has got baggage. Yeah, no shit. Right? Like you probably want them to have baggage. You probably want them to have lived a life and not be the 40-year-old virgin.
Right.
No
like
offense.
If they haven't
lived
something and have some baggage, then what have they been doing?
Right. So you have to right off the bat, I feel like, have open conversations or even like start dropping like the hints like, have you ever gone to therapy? I was not opposed to ask these questions.
That was a big question that you were asking.
Yes, because I was curious if people were, or do you, okay, you don't have to go to therapy for me, but like, what about self-help?
Openness.
Yes.
You were looking for openness to like how they were taking care of themselves, what they were doing for themselves.
Yes. Yeah. Also, like in their bios, I would really read like, I like adventure. I like being outside because I like nature as well. Yeah. I wasn't necessarily looking for someone who was like, I just want arm candy. You know, like that was
people say that in their bios. That's what they were looking for.
But you kind of get the sense like they just want a hookup person or they want someone to take out.
Okay,
but they don't necessarily. I was looking for a partner, and that is fine for them.
Sure,
but I wanted an aligned partner. Meaning someone who is like wanting to build a life because that's the way I prefer to live my life. So I was really like intentional about it. And it was interesting. So the first date I went on, it was a very nice gentleman. He was from, I don't know, like maybe an hour and a half away.
Okay.
He's a mechanic. And he had never been married. He had a couple kids. And it was just like quite the eye opener for me. I was like, oh, okay. This is what this is like. Like, oh, okay. he's really just interested in one thing, and we had luckily met at a very public place. We just sat and just chatted, and I could kind of feel like where it was going to go. And he was like, so what do you want to do next? And I was just like, I think that this was really great. It's not a love connection for me. I think you're a really nice person.
Yeah.
But I think it's just like we can be friends on Facebook or friends with each other. And I just had to be honest.
I love how you were direct and honest.
Well, it's not fair to drag somebody on.
No.
To lead them on. It's just
no,
not
if
fair.
you're not feeling it at this point, thank you next. It's best for everybody.
Right. And I honestly meant like I found him interesting, but like not a love connection.
You just
because I could tell his level of commitment to relationships was not going to meet mine. His work, while it was really important to him being a mechanic, really maybe didn't hold my attention.
Right.
What were we going to talk about?
Yeah. You were already struggling.
Yeah. So that was a really great first step. And it was kind of like, okay, I kind of understand. So then I just kept going out on dates and meeting really nice men and just kind of like being really fascinated by how kind they were, how some people were more into themselves. Some people were really still dealing with the loss of their significant partner.
Right.
And they hadn't moved on. And it was a signal to me like, you're really great. You check all the boxes, but like you're not ready. Yeah. And I'm ready. Yeah. And that's okay. I've been in those places.
You know exactly where they're at.
Yes.
It's just that's not where you're at.
So I think it was like my third date. Well, you're talking. I showed you the list of people I was talking to. I was like a teenage text girl. Next. Just texting so many people.
So many.
I mean, it was like a job for me. I was like, oh, wait, excuse me. I got to respond.
Hold on. Yeah.
To a thing. I was just like, it was ridiculous.
You were having fun with it, though.
I was having so much fun.
You weren't putting a lot of pressure and you were just like indulging that part of yourself that wanted to go back to those early days of being single and dating.
Yeah. And I'd never really done it. And it was really quite fun to just get to know people. And then once you kind of start talking and like, you see how people play or you see how people talk. No. Or, this one's kind of interesting. The way they play like intrigues me.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of things that are done before you even meet each other.
You've like had a lot of back and forth.
Yes. So my third in-person date was this beautiful human being, tall. And I was like, oh, shit. I don't know that I'm going to make it 3 to 6 months because he was just
check those boxes right out of the gate.
And I mean, and actually, to be honest with you, more. Yeah. Like but I just kept telling him like, he asked me on a second date, and I was like, of course, I was trying to like hide my excitement, but I also told him I need to keep dating. I promised my kids because my kids were like, Mom, like,
Yeah, don't just jump back into something.
Yes. Anyways, I didn't date probably more than a week longer other people because
it didn't last long.
It was just like, what's the point when you've met someone who's so wonderful?
Yeah.
And he is so wonderful. And I'm just surprised every single day when I wake up next to him, like how like aligned he is for me.
Yeah. And he feels the same way about you.
Which is fascinating to me as well, actually, because I'm like, what? How's this possible? So dating was a lot of fun. It was very short for me. I intended it to go much, much longer. And people say I'm lucky. I don't know if I'm lucky, actually.
I mean, you were open and ready to receive.
And I was
the
very
universe
specific.
Decided not to make you wait, and you were very specific and clear. That makes it easy to deliver the right person to your doorstep.
I have on my phone my dream guy list that I had been developing for years.
Yeah, talk about that because you were also like journaling and meditating on like what it was that you wanted and what you were looking for. You had done the pre-work.
Yes. I was very specific about what I wanted, and I'm not talking about like needs to have green eyes and wear size whatever. I'm talking about like treats me well, is handsome to me, is generous, is kind, is like loving, trustworthy, isn't a liar, meaning is truthful, integrity is important to them, has a job, loves their work. Like these are the sort of values that I really myself want to embody. And so I want my aligned partner to also embody them. And I don't want to settle for someone who may be a beautiful person, but not aligned for me.
Right.
So I had been working on that. And that also, when I would like sometimes be in conversation maybe with someone even before meeting them, because there were tons of people that I just opted out of meeting.
You knew right away.
Right. Yeah. Well, it took some time, but it's kind of can be obvious what they want. They want maybe one or two things, and it wasn't what I was wanting. I would go back to the list and be like, well, they're not, I don't feel like they're truthful. And that's a really important value to me. So that was super helpful as well. And maybe I am lucky, but I feel like I was focused. I did speed dating. Like I think I went on 14 dates or 12 dates in like a very short amount of time. 7 dates. I can't remember. I've told people, but I can't even remember. It's like kind of, I went in because I was like serious about it. Like, and also I wanted to have fun. I was tired of just not feeling like attractive or also feeling like
desired.
Yes, exactly. And it wasn't even about that in the end for me. It was more about like, okay, people do find me interesting. Mm-hmm. I think I'm somewhat interesting, but also other people do as well. And, you know, I think sometimes when you haven't been out there for a while dating, you have it in your mind that you're a certain way or that everyone is a certain way as well. And that's not always the case. Yes, there are people out there who have been through some crap and maybe haven't done self-help, but there are people also out there who have done a lot as well because they've been through some things and they also want to improve. So to anyone who says that it's impossible to find your match or it's possible, you know, to find a good person, I found tons of nice people. Were they all my people? No, but they're for somebody.
But you didn't leave feeling like, oh my God, everybody I met was just the worst.
No.
And because that's the stories. It's like a lot of the stories you hear, and it's unfortunate because it's taking away from all the wonderful matches that can exist and that can be found.
And also, even the people who didn't align for me, that doesn't mean they're awful.
No, you could still see some good in them.
And also, that just means I might not be their person, even though they might want me to be. Their person is out there. Like you know, I feel like I don't know what you feel about this, but I almost feel like there's someone for everyone.
I think so. Like, I do believe that. Like, when you are in my role and you marry people and you do weddings and you see people that have chosen each other, it's so fun to be like, oh, they found each other. Like, you can just see, especially some of these matches of like two really quirky humans who get each other, and it's so exciting. It's like the puzzle pieces have matched. And so I have to, in my line of work, believe that because I literally am the one helping them to do the entire marriage process. So yes, I do believe that. And I think that for whatever reason in life, you may find yourself single again, right? You don't know. Something tragic could. But to anybody out there, right? You may lose your partner. You may split unexpectedly or expectedly on either side.
And you may be finding yourself at 50, 55, 60 single and being like, this is not where I expected.
Any point in life this could happen, and you have a choice, right? All you can control is your own decision, and you can look at it with positivity and optimism, curiosity, which I love that word, and go into it just to meet people, humans. And then if the spark is there, it's there. I'll always think about it would be my great uncle, my grandfather's brother, was like 90 years old in Florida. And he meets this lovely woman in the grocery store.
At 90?
Makes a joke with her about some cereal box or something. And the next thing you know, they wrote out the next 5 years, just the cutest little couple ever. And
what a love story.
I remember seeing them. They came up from Florida to Minnesota to visit, and it was just like, it's never too late. And I feel like I just always remembered that because people naturally need others. You really do. If you want to live your best life, it's probably not alone.
For me, that is definitely the case. I feel like we're tribal in nature. And I definitely really thrive as an individual when I have my person. And my person can be my friends, but I like like I'm not gay and I'm not, opposed to it. So like for me, I need a male partner.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what you're
I could live with my
with.
friends, but it still wouldn't be the same for me.
Yes.
I need that.
And I am your work wife, but
I know exactly. I was like,
we also need husbands.
Yes, we do. Okay, so the one thing I do want to say too, I years ago developed Heartbreak to Hope when I went through like my divorce. And it was so funny. I revisited Heartbreak to Hope when I was dating because I was like, I wrote about the dating piece, but I kind of rushed through the dating piece because, like I said, I kind of fell into that relationship. And I have such a fresh new perspective now too, and so much compassion and empathy. But also, I kind of don't want to let people off the hook.
100%. And that's why we wanted to have this conversation to say it's just not an excuse to sit back and say, like, I'm not going to meet anybody good.
Right.
There isn't anybody out there.
Now, if you're not ready, that's different
story.
But don't sit there and this kind of gets my hairs up a little bit. Don't sit there and say there's no one out there as a way to project and to like, well, there's no one out there that's good, so I'm just not even going to try, because that's you.
Right.
That's you saying, decision. I don't want to try because I'm not ready. And that's fine, but own it. Don't project it. I'm getting a little sweaty right here.
Yeah.
Because I feel really strongly like there are some lovely people out there. And while maybe I did get lucky and I met like Mr. Wonderful right off the bat, and that doesn't happen for a lot of people. Maybe some people need to go and date for 3 to 6 months or 3 years. I don't even know. There still are wonderful people out there, and you can have wonderful experiences. But it's all about what you want. What do you
make
want?
new friends and connections, and who knows, you might meet someone and they're not your match, but they marry your friend.
Oh my gosh,
like whatever.
So true.
You don't know how that relationship's going to play itself out. And if you're finding yourself in a situation suddenly single, and then who are you to judge of someone else who finds themselves in that same situation? Until you hear their story, you can't judge it. So go have coffee and share, like swap stories, because you're going to just learn something from everyone you talk to.
Yes.
If you have that attitude.
And my whole premise of life, and when I coach people and help people through challenging transitions and times, is to demystify things.
Yeah.
And I feel like by me doing this, I demystified something that I think in some people's minds, dating over 50, over 60 is like this huge hurdle that you just can't pass. And I want to say, I understand, but I believe that's your fear speaking.
Sure, of course. And it's fair to have fears and have been hurt. But you can work on those, and it hopefully shouldn't stop you from the chance to find a potential life partner, or the chance to find someone that you just can really enjoy and have a good time with for however long you need that too.
Yes.
And I think that's important to share your positive story and experience, because if someone's out there listening and they're in, the shoes of loneliness and not having that partner and afraid of dating, like, one more time, give it a shot. Like, follow Monique's path and advice. Be open to what the universe can send you.
Curious.
Be curious and clear.
Yes.
On what you want. What's like?
What else is there?
What else could, like, what's the worst that could happen? What's the best that could happen?
Oh my gosh.
If you stay safe and wise and use everything you already know,
let people
and your
know where you're
gut
at.
intuition.
Yep.
Come on, give it a shot. Don't be afraid. Fun. Now, and I think what's important to note too is it isn't like, even though you met someone right away and you've now been in a relationship, you're still on the relationship journey, right?
Oh my gosh,
and I think that's another important thing, is like, that it's never just perfect. It always is evolving.
So true.
Like, just take the ride, right? Like, ride it out for 4 years, for 27 years, for 4 years, for who knows how many years. Ride it out for as long as it's good. Enjoy.
Right. For me, having a partner really helps me learn and grow and evolve more than anything else, because I am able to see parts of myself either come to expression or come to be realized. I don't know how else to say it, but it's kind of a beautiful thing. Like, I feel like parts of me would be dormant without a partner. And I really, really enjoy partnerships. I enjoy our partnership, right? my work
Yes.
life. I enjoy my romantic partner. He's amazing. He's like such a beautiful human. I enjoy the partnerships I have with my children, my other friends. You know, like life is so good because so many great people are in it. And it would be remiss, it would just be sad to miss out on all that amazingness.
So if you're out there listening and you're feeling that loneliness, get on Facebook dating, set up some coffee dates, make your list.
You can always reach out to me. I will help you. I will be your accountability dating buddy.
Absolutely.
I will coach you through that. I have done this before.
Yeah, absolutely. Reach out on Instagram, connect with us because we will cheer you on.
And then she can marry you.
Yeah. And then when it works out, like we got the whole thing figured out, planned.
Start to end.
Yeah. So
not the divorce.
We're here for you. You know, we are heart and soul. Like we're all about the love and the soul and, you know, really just enjoying other humans in whatever way that they fit in your life. So thank you for sharing.
Oh my gosh, yes.
An honest and vulnerable story that I got to, you know, be there observing as you went through it. And I think that like, I just loved your positivity. I was like, you go, girl.
I know. I kind of was like, I'm owning this dating thing. I know people don't like it, but I'm going to like it.
I'm going to like it. And
I'm going to slay it.
It worked out pretty damn well. And I can confirm he is wonderful.
He is, yes.
Well, again, thanks for sharing. And we hope that you've enjoyed this episode and that you'll tune in next time because we're always coming up with something fun to talk about. Cheers, friends. You've just finished another episode of the Heart and Soul podcast. We hope that you've enjoyed the show. And if you've loved it, we would love if you'd leave us a 5-star review on whatever platform you're listening. You can find links to leave that review in the show notes, where you'll also find other resources that we reference on our show. And if you think a friend could find value in today's episode or any future episodes, please share this episode with them on social media. This is one of the only ways the podcast can organically grow, and we just can't wait to connect with you and all of your besties. You can also find Monique and I on our many social media platforms or our websites, and we're going to leave links to those in the show notes as well. Thank you for listening. We look forward to sharing our hearts and souls with you again next time. With Heart, I'm Mariah.
And with Soul, I'm Monique.